Behind the curtain, why VPNs aren't the security panacea. You think they are, in the rapidly evolving landscape of cybersecurity. Few tools have gained as much prominence in the consumer market as virtual private networks or VPNs. Advertised through compelling marketing campaigns, promising complete online anonymity, unbreakable security, and impenetrable privacy, these services have become a staple in many users' digital toolkits. Unfortunately, as cybersecurity experts reveal in their detailed discussion, the reality of VPN protection falls significantly short of these lofty claims. The gap between perception and reality doesn't just represent a marketing exaggeration. It constitutes a dangerous misconception that could leave individuals and organizations exposed to significant cyber threats. The illusion of complete protection. The fundamental misconception surrounding VPNs lies in what they actually do versus what many users believe they do. At their core, VPNs simply create an encrypted tunnel between your device and a server operated by the VPN provider, masking your IP address and encrypting your traffic data. While this represents a valuable layer of security, particularly when using public Wi-Fi networks, it falls dramatically short of providing comprehensive protection against the sophisticated arsenal of techniques employed by modern hackers, cyber criminals, and intelligence agencies. VPNs do not guarantee safety from hackers, intelligence agencies, or cyber criminals, the experts emphasize. This stark reality stands in direct opposition to the marketing messages that have led consumers to believe their digital activities are completely shielded when using these services. The dangerous outcome is a false sense of security that may actually increase risk by encouraging users to engage in online behaviors they might otherwise avoid, operating under the mistaken belief that they're fully protected. The alarming rise in VPN vulnerabilities. Troubling trend. The increasing prevalence of critical vulnerabilities in popular VPN services, with special attention paid to those manufactured by Fortinet. These vulnerabilities aren't merely theoretical concerns, but actively exploited pathways that can give attackers unauthorized access to supposedly secured systems. In 2024, Fortinet disclosed a critical vulnerability, CVE 2024-21762, in its FortiOS SSL VPN, which received a near maximum CVSS score of 9.6 out of 10, indicating extreme severity. This out-of-bounds write vulnerability allows remote unauthenticated attackers to execute arbitrary code or commands via specially crafted HTTP requests. What makes this particularly alarming is Fortinet's acknowledgement that the vulnerability was potentially being exploited in the wild, confirming that attackers had already discovered and were actively leveraging this security flaw. Even more concerning, in April 2025, Fortinet revealed that attackers had discovered a method to maintain access to vulnerable FortiGate devices even after the initial vulnerabilities had been patched. As the company explained, a threat actor used a known vulnerability to implement read-only access to vulnerable FortiGate devices by creating a symbolic link connecting the user file system and the root file system in the SSL VPN's language files folder. The Shadow Server Foundation identified over 16,000 internet-exposed Fortinet devices compromised with this backdoor, demonstrating the vast scale of the problem. These specific examples represent just the tip of the iceberg. The cybersecurity community has observed a surge in VPN vulnerabilities across various providers, calling into question the reliability of these tools as effective security measures. Particularly troubling is the ease with which even relatively inexperienced attackers can exploit these vulnerabilities using readily available tools and techniques. Beyond IP masking, the browser fingerprinting problem. Another critical limitation of VPNs is their inability to protect against browser fingerprinting, a sophisticated tracking technique that can identify users regardless of whether they're using a VPN. While VPNs successfully mask your IP address, they do nothing to prevent websites from creating a unique digital fingerprint based on numerous other parameters. Browser fingerprinting collects a wide array of data points about your device and browser configuration, including screen resolution, available fonts, installed plugins, time zone settings, language preferences, hardware specifications, and even subtle variations in how your device renders graphics. These elements combine to create a unique identifier that can follow you across the internet, regardless of VPN usage. Browser fingerprinting goes beyond detecting a user's IP address, experts explain. It uses over 50 different parameters to ascertain identity. This technique is so effective that modern fingerprinting methods can identify users with up to 99.5% accuracy, even when they take basic privacy measures. Cross-browser fingerprinting, which can track users across different browsers, has reached a staggering 99.2% accuracy rate. Testing tools like MIUnique or the Electronic Frontier Foundation's Cover Your Tracks demonstrate this reality starkly. Most users discover their browser produces a completely unique fingerprint among millions of samples, making them easily trackable despite VPN protection. Even more troubling, some fingerprinting techniques can detect when you're using a VPN, adding this information to your unique profile and potentially making you stand out even more. The problem with free VPN services. In their discussion, OTW emphasizes a particularly insidious aspect of the VPN market: free services that may actually compromise user security and privacy rather than enhance it. The old adage, "If you're not paying for the product, you are the product," has particular relevance in the context of free VPN services. Many free VPN providers monetize their services by collecting and selling user data, injecting advertisements, or worse. Some have been caught redirecting user traffic through their systems to harvest valuable information, installing tracking cookies, or even transforming users' devices into exit nodes for other customers' traffic, essentially turning users' machines into unwitting VPN servers for others. This reality creates a painful irony. Users who install free VPNs specifically to enhance their privacy may be subjecting themselves to more intensive tracking and data collection than if they had used no VPN at all. As OTW puts it, users of free services are likely to be dangerously vulnerable as their data is extracted for advertising purposes or other exploitative actions. The limitations of consumer VPNs versus corporate VPNs. An important distinction often overlooked in VPN discussions is the fundamental difference between consumer VPNs marketed to individuals and corporate VPN solutions designed for enterprise security. While they share similar technology at their core, they serve vastly different purposes and provide different levels of security. Corporate VPNs are typically designed to extend a company's secure internal network to remote employees, creating a virtual presence within the corporate infrastructure. They often include additional security measures like multi-factor authentication, detailed access controls, and integration with broader security frameworks. Even these corporate solutions, however, are not immune to vulnerabilities, as demonstrated by the Fortinet exploits discussed earlier. Consumer VPNs, by contrast, primarily focus on providing IP anonymization and basic traffic encryption. They rarely offer the robust security features of their corporate counterparts, and as OTW notes, consumer VPNs are marketed heavily as effective tools against hackers. However, their capabilities are limited, merely providing encrypted connections which could still be compromised. This distinction becomes crucial when considering real-world security needs. A consumer using a VPN to access region-restricted content faces very different threat models than a corporate user handling sensitive business data. Yet the limitations of consumer VPNs are rarely communicated clearly to purchasers. The single point of failure. Problem: one of the most significant vulnerabilities in VPN architecture lies in its centralized nature. When an organization routes all its traffic through a single VPN provider or technology, it creates what security professionals call a single point of failure. If that provider or technology is compromised, all the traffic and data passing through it becomes vulnerable. OTW emphasizes the importance of employing a defense-in-depth strategy, which relies on multiple security layers and diverse vendors rather than placing complete trust in a single solution. This approach ensures that even if one security layer is breached, others remain intact to provide protection. The experts cite multiple examples where over-reliance on a single VPN vendor created catastrophic security failures. When organizations deploy the same VPN technology across their entire infrastructure, a single vulnerability can potentially expose all their systems simultaneously. This creates an attractive target for attackers, who can focus their efforts on finding vulnerabilities in one specific technology to gain widespread access. The need for continuous updates and vulnerability management. The cybersecurity landscape is in constant flux, with new vulnerabilities discovered regularly. This reality creates a pressing need for VPN providers to continuously update their platforms to patch security holes. Unfortunately, many providers fall short in this critical area. Even more concerning, the experts note that some companies introduce new vulnerabilities through the very patches designed to fix older issues. This creates a dangerous cycle where security-conscious users diligently update their software only to find themselves exposed to new, potentially more serious vulnerabilities. The discussion highlights a troubling observation. The average time between a vulnerability's public disclosure and its exploitation by attackers has shrunk dramatically. According to Fortinet's own research, threat actors now take advantage of known vulnerabilities on average 4.76 days after public disclosure. This narrow window places enormous pressure on both vendors to develop patches and users to implement them promptly. The alternative, a layered security approach. Given these limitations, what should security-conscious users do? Both experts advocate for a defense-in-depth approach that doesn't rely exclusively on VPNs, but instead employs multiple security layers. This strategy might include using the Tor network for enhanced anonymity, employing browser extensions that block fingerprinting, utilizing advanced privacy-focused browsers, implementing strong authentication practices, and regularly updating all software. The Tor network, while not perfect, generally offers better anonymity protection than VPNs for users primarily concerned with privacy. For those who still wish to use VPNs as part of their security strategy, the experts recommend thoroughly researching providers, avoiding free services, reading the fine print of privacy policies, and understanding exactly what protection the service does and doesn't provide. They also suggest considering more privacy-focused alternatives like Tor or specialized privacy-oriented operating systems for particularly sensitive activities. Browser fingerprinting, the tracking you can't escape. The sophisticated nature of browser fingerprinting deserves special attention, as it represents one of the most significant limitations in VPN protection. Unlike cookies or IP-based tracking, fingerprinting doesn't require placing anything on your device or knowing your actual location. Instead, it works by collecting numerous seemingly innocent details about your browser and device configuration. When you visit a website, it can gather information about your operating system, browser version, installed plugins, time zone, language settings, screen resolution, color depth, installed fonts, and even how your device renders certain images. Canvas fingerprinting, a particularly effective technique, draws an invisible image and analyzes how your specific hardware and software render it, creating a signature that's remarkably unique to your system. Browser fingerprinting is particularly problematic because 1. It works even when you block cookies or use private browsing modes. 2. It's nearly impossible to detect when it's happening. 3. VPNs do absolutely nothing to prevent it. 4. It can be used to link your activities across multiple sites and sessions. 5. It can identify you even when you switch VPN servers or locations. Some advanced anti-fingerprinting tools exist, but they often make your browser stand out even more. As one researcher demonstrated using the Electronic Frontier Foundation's Panopticlick tool, turning off JavaScript to prevent fingerprinting actually made their browser more unique, matching only one in about 100,000 browsers instead of being more common. Implications for national security and corporate risk beyond individual privacy concerns. The misconceptions surrounding VPN security have profound implications for national security and corporate risk management. Government agencies and organizations handling sensitive data often rely on VPN technology as a cornerstone of their security infrastructure, potentially exposing critical systems to sophisticated attacks if they overestimate VPN protection. The experts point to numerous documented cases where state-sponsored actors have successfully compromised VPN systems to gain access to sensitive government and corporate networks. In February 2024, the Netherlands government revealed that their armed forces computer network had been infiltrated by Chinese state-sponsored actors, exploiting known flaws in Fortinet FortiGate devices to deliver a backdoor called coat hanger. Similarly, Fortinet disclosed that end-day security vulnerabilities in its software had been exploited by multiple groups to target governments, service providers, consultancies, manufacturing, and large critical infrastructure organizations. The U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, has repeatedly added Fortinet vulnerabilities to its known exploited vulnerabilities catalog, mandating federal agencies to apply fixes urgently. These incidents highlight how decisions regarding VPN deployment at the corporate and government levels carry significant implications for data integrity and national security. The experts argue for greater accountability from VPN manufacturers to address vulnerabilities promptly and transparently, along with a more realistic assessment of VPN capabilities by security professionals. A path forward: informed decision-making. The experts' discussion ultimately leads to a call for greater education and transparency in the VPN industry. Rather than abandoning VPNs entirely, they advocate for a more nuanced understanding of what these tools can and cannot do, enabling users to make informed decisions about their security practices. For individuals, this means 1. Understanding that VPNs primarily mask your IP address and encrypt traffic, nothing more. 2. Recognizing that browser fingerprinting can still track you regardless of VPN use. 3. Using VPNs as one component of a broader security strategy, not a complete solution. 4. Being skeptical of marketing claims promising total anonymity or complete security. 5. Considering alternative or complementary privacy tools for sensitive activities. For organizations, the implications are even more significant. 1. Implementing a defense-in-depth strategy rather than relying on VPNs alone. 2. Using multiple vendors to avoid single points of failure. 3. Establishing robust vulnerability management processes. 4. Training employees about the limitations of VPN protection. 5. Conducting regular security assessments that don't assume VPN infallibility. Conclusion: redefining security in the age of sophisticated threats. VPNs remain valuable tools that fulfill specific security functions, but they simply cannot provide the comprehensive protection that many users believe they do. This gap between perception and reality creates dangerous vulnerabilities that malicious actors are all too ready to exploit. As we move forward in our increasingly digital world, the security community must work to bridge this knowledge gap, helping both individuals and organizations develop more realistic and effective security strategies. This means moving beyond simplistic solutions and embracing a more nuanced approach that acknowledges the complexity of modern threats. The experts' most important message is perhaps their simplest: there is no silver bullet in cybersecurity. No single tool, technique, or technology can provide complete protection in today's threat landscape. Instead, security requires constant vigilance, layered defenses, and a clear-eyed assessment of both capabilities and limitations. By understanding what VPNs genuinely can and cannot do, users can begin to build truly effective security practices that provide meaningful protection in an increasingly dangerous digital world.